The Senate will please come to order. We're returning from a recess, and the senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'm going to ask that the Senate again stands in recess. We need to have some copies made for bills that we'll be taking up. They're not ready yet. We're going to be taking up S11, which was the bill that we walked through in caucus a little while ago. We also have S210. The Senate Secretary says if we reconvene at 4:15, we should be able to take those up at that time. Thank you, Madam President.
The Senate will stand in recess until 4:15.
Glad I got mine.
The Senate will please come to order. We're returning from a recess, and the senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I ask that pending notice on the calendar for action, we suspend the rules and take up S11.
The senator from Wyndham has moved that the rules be suspended and S11, an act relating to prohibiting robocalls, be taken up for immediate consideration. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've suspended the rules and will now take up S11 for immediate consideration. We now have a committee of conference report on S11, again, an act relating to prohibiting robocalls. The underlying question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report of the committee of conference on S11? And the senator from Chittenden, Senator Sirotkin, is recognized for the report.
Thank you.
And as the senator begins, the report is being
That's not a.
handed out, and there is a. We'll give just a moment to make sure everyone has the section summary.
And also the fiscal note needs to be.
And the fiscal note. So we'll just give a moment for all three to be passed out. And if at some point you don't have all three, minutes, just raise your hand. Just to confirm, everyone should have the report of the Committee of Conference. If you don't have it, raise your hand. The section by section summary. And then the third piece is the fiscal notes. Senator, I do think it's time.
Thank you, Madam President. So S11 began as a bill, S159, H159, that came out of our committee, and when it went over to the House, the vehicle, the robocall, which jumped to the very last part of our report, is preserved in this bill.
Thank goodness.
It's a very large bill, 19 pages long. It appropriates $85 million. And the brief history is, at the beginning of the session, leadership asked several committee chairs to work with their counterparts in the House, in the other body, to divide up major areas of work so we wouldn't duplicate each other's efforts before crossover. And we agreed with the House Commerce Committee that they would deal with workforce issues, and we decided we would deal with economic development issues, and that they hopefully would meet. And lo and behold, they did. And the result of all that work is S11 Conference Committee report. So the first probably half or 2/3 of the bill deals with workforce issues, which deal with recruitment, retention, training, scholarships, loan repayments, and the like. And our expert in our conference committee on the workforce issue is my vice chair, the senator from Windsor, and I am going to yield to her for, I think, the first 37 sections of the bill. And and then I will resume my report.
The senator from Windsor is recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam President. It's hard to know even where to begin, but this workforce sections that are the first significant part of the bill really address our huge workforce crisis that we face in this state, and invest over $20 million to recruit, retain, and train our workforce. As you will recall, and I can certainly list the challenges that we face, and I am happy to read them because we have them well identified in this bill. But we face an acute labor shortage at the moment, as you know. There are approximately 28,000 job openings as of December of 21. 9,900 individuals are unemployed. We have a very low unemployment rate, and yet we have so many job openings. We have 4,500 individuals are receiving unemployment insurance assistance. The workforce has shrunk. The key thing here is our workforce has shrunk by 26,000 individuals since 2019, and this is, to me, one of the critical pieces here is our workforce participation rate has fallen from 66% to 60.6%. The total volume of hires made each year is approximately 200,000 non-unique individuals. And all these pieces in one way or another address this challenge. We address it, and I will go through the sections, but we address it with immediate needs by providing loan repayment for students who decide to stay in Vermont for 2 years. We address it we encourage people to upskill their training for better jobs, to support people as they go back or they go into to pay for their tuition in trade scholarships, to support our nursing crisis, our huge crisis we face in emergency medical services, in nursing, in almost every trade. We have $3 million in trade tuition support. It is a huge bill, and with many opportunities, from investments in our forest products industry, to our nursing industry, to mental health, to our building and clean energy sectors. It is a huge public investment that we should be very proud of, and that we should be encouraging our constituents to take advantage of. I am going to go through the beginning of this bill, and I will be addressing, I have nothing that actually summarizes all the sections I'm going to be dealing with, but I'm just going to plow through them and give you the highlights on them. And you can see in your fiscal note and in your section by section. But I'm just going to hit on some of the highlights. So we have immediate $2.5 million that UVM and VSAP are going to work together, marketing this to all the current graduates from our colleges and universities. It's a statewide forgivable loan program, $5,000 per graduate for if they agree to stay in Vermont for 2 years. It's got immediate support to something very basic like our skilled meat cutter training program, and gives $500,000 to support refugees as they work to develop and rehome their skills and training so that they can work here in Vermont. It has support, Section 4 has support for our BIPOC businesses to help coach and train them also, and upskill their work efforts and their networking efforts. Section 5 is my particular favorite, although there are many favorite pieces of this bill, but this is one of our biggest challenges. We have every department and agency in state government seems to have a workforce development opportunity in it. It is an uncoordinated system. This has us with a special oversight committee that will be embedded in the agency of administration, looking at very specific ways that we can do a better job of coordinating these programs so that we can have a good sense of the progress we're making with all these investments. And I will read you what its charge is. We're creating a special oversight committee, and it will have 2 legislators and people in the administration, the chair of the State Workforce Development Board and the State Director of Workforce Development, and a member appointed by the governor. And our charge, the charge will be identifying the optimal organizational structure for the Vermont workforce development system under which a single government entity, office, or executive position is charged with the authority and duty to coordinate workforce development efforts across state government in close partnership and coordination with non-governmental partners and achieve the goals of the state of Vermont strategic plan. This is the work we need to have done and hold everybody's toes to the fires to accomplish the work we need to accomplish. This workforce in this, we talk about it as the octopus with no head, or the orchestra that has all these sections playing not in harmony and not in the same tempo. It needs a conductor. And this will look at how we can provide that kind of leadership in this system and bring it all into sync. So that is what Section 5 does and sets it up, and we have 2 interim reports on it. And I have great hopes for this opportunity that we're creating to coordinate a better coordinated model of how this incredibly important part of our labor work goes forward. So in Section 5A, the Department of Labor has long wanted to really beef up their regional service centers. This gives them $1.5 million to create for a 2-year pilot to coordinate a regional system that will be a sort of a go-to center where they will find out what jobs are available, what skills they need, what training they need, what programs they can take, and directs them regionally to those opportunities. We have sections 6, 7, 8, and 9 are directed to our correction system, and the purpose of section 6 is to facilitate the education and vocational training of incarcerated individuals so that they will have a greater likelihood of obtaining meaningful employment and positively contributing to our communities upon their reintegration into other communities. We also have Section 8, which is a big investment in our correction officer recruitment and retention. We are losing our correctional officers at a frightening rate, and this is a major investment in identifying the conditions that pose an obstacle to the successful recruitment and retention of correctional officers, and setting forth a plan to improve the recruitment and retention of these officers. And it's going to address everything from the wages and benefits to the working conditions, to the morale, and we hope that this will have a big impact on one of our biggest challenges in state government, which is retaining our correctional officers. And Section 9 is the assessment of these initiatives, which will be in a report to the committees of jurisdiction in January, I believe. Yes. Then in Section 11, this is $1.5 million that we are investing in the Department of Labor to develop the statewide work-based learning. This is they're retooling their entire internship, apprenticeship programs and pre-apprenticeship programs. And they have hired a splendid new person to do this. And this gives them, you remember, they're mostly funded with federal dollars. This gives them the state dollars to do this work, which they were not able to do before because federal dollars support one piece of it and state dollars support this kind of regional, this work. The next sections are our Credential Program, and this this enables, this is a pilot project using existing state and federal funds up to $100,000 to pay tuition costs for secondary students to take adult CTE during the summer. Section 14 is our Vermont Trade Scholarship Program. This is a big investment, $3 million to provide scholarships and tuition money for initial licensing fees, exam fees, and tuition payments for a student who is interested in advancing a career in the building trades, in paramedics, in emergency services, in energy efficiency, robotics, or another high demand sector that has a credential of value attached to it. Section 15 is our charge to the Department of Health to not only inform all our services people and paramedics about the opportunities in this bill, but also to come back to us with a proposal for a sustainable funding model to provide credential education, workforce development for our emergency services professionals and volunteers, actually. Section 16 is an innovative new program that our career and technical education partners are working on with the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board. And it is a big investment over, I think it will be over a fairly long period of time, but it's to make loans to our career and technical education centers to purchase, permit, and renovate buildings throughout the community, houses and municipal buildings possibly, through construction projects by CTE students. This is primarily an education program, a big investment in our building trades, and giving our CTE students opportunities both during the year and during the summer to really hone their skills and leave as people ready to be full professionals in the building trades. And we have great hopes for this and are quite excited about this opportunity. Sections, keeping going, now we move into our healthcare sections, which are sections 19 through 36, I believe. Anyway, there are quite a few, and we are really grateful to our Health and Welfare, Senate Health and Welfare, working with the House to really hone these sections. These are every one of these programs, and this is about $13 million invested in nursing and healthcare professionals to retain and recruit healthcare workers in Vermont by reinforcing the current healthcare workforce and sustaining workers into the future and addressing reducing reliance on traveling nurses. And this appropriates, we invest in incentive grants to nurse preceptors. These are the nurses who agree to work as mentors on the hospital floors, helping our nursing students who come from their educational centers to come and get practical applied knowledge on the hospital floor. We invest in them. We invest in the big bottleneck is we don't have enough nursing faculty. This gives, through all these sections, this provides money to, and nursing faculty are woefully underpaid. This provides all incentives to provide forgivable loans for them and additional pieces, everything from loan forgiveness to loan repayments. We also have a pipeline for nursing. And I really should have the Health and Welfare Committee stand up and do this report because they know this much more intimately than I do. But it appropriates $2.5 million in ARPA money to AHS to provide grants to healthcare employers to establish or expand partnerships and upskill people to nursing schools to create nursing pipeline or apprenticeship programs to train members of their existing staff to become higher level nursing professionals. This is taking people who are already invested in the healthcare system in maybe a more minor capacity and upskilling them into higher level nursing professional opportunities. So there are just incredible opportunities all the way through here. We have nurse faculty, again, nurse faculty forgivable loan programs and nurse faculty loan repayment program. We also have, because we have a similar crisis with our mental health professionals, we have a $1.5 million dedicated to mental health professional forgivable loan incentives. And we have in section 29E, we have designated, we've appropriated $1.25 million in ARPA money to distribute to the designated and specialized service agencies to be used for loan repayment and tuition assistance to recruit and retain mental health and substance use disorder treatment professionals. Again, our designated agencies, as we know, have had hugely challenged during COVID, and we hope this will help, again, go back to our retain, recruit, and train. And this is retention of those professionals we rely so completely on. The next sections are not money pieces, but are important pieces for the Green Mountain Care Board, and allows them to do a number of things. It allows the Green Mountain Care Board during their budget review to exclude some or all of a hospital's investment in nursing workforce development initiatives, and which those are sections 30 and 31. Section 32 has it appropriates $750,000 to the Office of Healthcare Reform to establish and operate the statewide healthcare workforce data center, and creates the healthcare workforce data center manager position to manage the center. And then we get to the Agency of Human Services positions, which are needed to create this workforce development and strategic plan. And then we get to, in sections 35, we have the Department of Labor and the Green Mountain Care Board are going to do some important data modeling together. And this is an investment in that, and an important collaboration for data we don't have that we need. And section 36 directs the Department of Financial Regulation to explore the feasibility of requiring health insurers to access clinical data from the Vermont Health Information Exchange to support prior authorization requests. And I think that takes us through to section 37, loan repayment assistance program, and this amends it to exempt employees of the Vermont Head Start program so that they are able to take advantage of the loan repayment assistance. And I believe that takes us to section 39, which is a $150,000 investment in finishing up Advanced Vermont's terrific Think Vermont VT. I can't remember the title of it, but it's a great website which identifies for each job what is required for you to what training you need to take if you want to have that job or if you want to have that career. You go to Think Vermont. I'm totally punting the name of their website, but it's finishing up that work, and then they will partner with the Department of Labor and use that and that will be embedded in the Department of Labor's work going forward. And this gives them money to finish that project up. Section 40 is another program that we started last year. It's the Vermont Serve, Learn, and Earn program. We are investing $1.8 million to fund 4 groups in sort of non-traditional settings. It's the Vermont Audubon Society, the Vermont Youth Conservation Corps, Resources VT, and one other that you can see in your somewhere that work with AmeriCorps students and with non-traditional students that have fallen through the cracks and they provide training and education for these students. And it has been incredibly successful. This is funding for them for them to continue this program. We have built-in reports for them for them to come back to us so that we can, again, make sure they continue to train the people that they're wanting to through. But this is for non-traditional learners, people who want to learn and work outside and in our environment, which we hope will lead all sorts of great careers for some of these students who are more challenged. We also would like to thank at this point our education committee who worked with us closely on a number of these pieces. And again, I would love to have them be presenting some of these sections because they are far more better acquainted with them than I am at the moment. But section 41 is the adult education and literacy. It's just findings. It is not the need to improve our adult education system is a key piece of all this. Sections 42 and 45 are our forest products career investments. It's $250,000. It codifies this program, but it also creates the Vermont Forest Future Strategic Roadmap, which is designed to strengthen, modernize, promote, and protect the forest products sector in Vermont. And that is, which is, a lot of our work is supporting our forest products industry and it's a critically important group of a number of careers for us in the state. I'm sorry, I am now I think I'm about to send the report back to the senator from Chittenden to pick up the rest of our economic development report. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. And the one group that the senator forgot was Vermont Works for Women.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So I'm going to move on to the economic development sections. And before I do, I just want to say one of the challenges we faced is we were obviously given strict limits by the appropriators as to how much we could spend on this bill. And while we began our negotiations, we thought we had 84.5, and that's the amount we had. But then we were told we had to divide them exactly between $19 million in general fund and 65.5 in ARPA. So that made we thought we could move money around a little bit, but that was not the case. Anyhow, I just want to read the purpose section on the economic development sections, which is found, there's no pages here, but in section 45A, it's very simple. The purposes of section 46 to 59B of this act is to address the negative economic impacts of COVID-19 on Vermont's economy, employers, workers, and families, while simultaneously leveraging opportunities to grow Vermont's economy. The first two sections are programs that you will probably be familiar with, 46 and 47, but their names have changed. Last year, and this is funded with ARPA money, and the administration had proposed two large programs. One, which is now in 46, was called the Capital Investment Program, CIP. It's now called Community Recovery and Revitalization Grant Program, and it's changed quite a bit. Its funding level over the 3 years envisioned in the proposal from the administration was $90 million. We gave out $10 million last year. And in this bill, there's $10 more million, but as I'll get to, there's another $30 million in the budget for the program, but not in this bill. And this, the Capital Investment Grant Program was supposed to be the so-called transformational regional projects of taking a Jones and Lamson plant that's defunct and turn it into housing or a mall or something that would change the economy in Springfield. Based upon the guidelines that we subsequently got from the federal government, that was not allowable. So a program that had grants up to $3 million last year was downsized to a program of the maximum grant is $1 million, and only in our bill can the grant account for only up to 20% of the total project cost. It also was expanded to cover municipalities, especially those with declining or stagnant grand list values. It creates an approval process through VEPSI and ACCD as to who gets the money, and importantly, it directs ACCD and VEPSI to develop guidelines on more of the details of who qualifies and to what amount, and that those proposals have to be run by not only the substantive committees of the legislature, but work collaboratively with the Joint Fiscal Office and present the information to the Joint Fiscal Committee. So that's at $10 million. And the second program was what we call the Economic Recovery Grants last year. That was the one where we put several guardrails around it. Uptake was not nearly as great as was envisioned. There was $30 million appropriated and only $5 million got applied for. So we removed some of the restrictions on eligibility and the tightness of the application process, and we took 20 of the 25 remaining million and put it into a new program that's called the VITA Short-Term Forgivable Loan Program. So we moved the program from ACCD to VITA, who has more expertise and more experience in dealing with individual loans and sizing up who's eligible for what. The maximum grant is $350,000 or 6 months of operating costs or your net operating loss over the 2-year period. We spent a fair amount of time in conference because I think both sides realized that the way the program was written, it might actually return dollar for dollar every dollar lost by a business over the 2-year COVID period. And we interestingly heard testimony from a really good witness who suffered greatly in year 1 of COVID, sort of leveled himself out over year 2 and is going gangbusters right now. And the way we had written it before we got to conference is there was no consideration of how the person's doing now. And we all felt that a grant of this size of $350,000 to a business is doing really well doesn't make a lot of sense in this climate. So you'll see in here that in terms of defining economic harm, it says economic harm has to be demonstrated through reduced revenue or increased expenses related to COVID that threaten the current capacity of a business and result in ongoing financial insecurity. So that's one of the criteria that we feel will put good guardrails around there, and any business as a threshold has to show a 22% loss in one of the years during COVID versus 2019. Then Section 47A is the relocated worker program. We made some changes to this program. The auditor had concerns that somebody could actually come here, move here, and then qualify after they're here. So the guidelines will now say you preliminarily apply, qualify before you move here, and only get your money after you move for your moving expenses or for your first month's rent. The House had, it's a perennial difference between the House and the Senate. It's usually the last issue closing the legislative session. It almost became that way again. We had put $6 million in for this program. The House had 0, and we settled on 3. Section 48 is the Windham County Economic Development Program. The Yankee settlement had a certain amount of money for economic development to be dedicated to Windham County, and there were concerns by that county that the money wasn't flowing as freely as it should. So we moved the money to Windham County to control their own money, and it's no longer housed in ACCD. Section 49 establishes a task force to look at whether or not we should establish a film commission again. I think there's one legislator on this commission, no money, and going to look at the problem where our state is used for movies, but we're not really getting any benefit because most of the people are coming from out of state to, they're not Vermont residents. Section 50, this is the issue last year. You may recall our unemployment fund was projected to be running over the next 10 years at a $500 million surplus. And the arrangement that was agreed upon was that we would give a $300 million tax cut to business, and we would give workers a $100 million increase in benefits. Well, after we went home, we found out from the federal government that the way it was structured, a combination of law and our aging mainframe made it impossible to get those benefits out. And so our proposal was in the Senate, you may recall, was once the computer is up and running, start paying that $100 million out over the next 10 or 15 years, but also B, use ARPA dollars to start paying those benefits now. We weren't able to use trust fund dollars, and we had appropriated $8 million for that purpose. The conference committee report retains the $8 million. It pays the benefits out in a different fashion, and we found a way to use the trust fund dollars so we didn't have to use the ARPA dollars. Section 51 and 51A is a new program. It's modeled after a couple of states that have done this, and Massachusetts is one of them. They did it probably more timely than we did. It would have been very nice during Omicron with all the people having to sit out a week from work and not having a paycheck come in to have received some help. And what we've done here is starting July 1st for a year, we've appropriated $15 million to go out to employers who can demonstrate that they paid the employee while they were out isolating or sick. A limit of 40 hours of reimbursement at a maximum rate of $21.25 and a total maximum for any individual employee of $850 for one sickness. If they got sick or had to isolate again, they could come back for another $850. And I apologize in case anybody picked it up. Section 50 is dealing with pandemic unemployment assistance. The technical data sharing thing. Section 52 is the unemployment insurance section on the $8 million. On the VITA short term in the Section 53, the total amount appropriated was $19 million. And we also did a carve out for the arts that got hit very hard, having to shutter all their venues, of $9 million. Lastly, the House found out our Everyone Eats program, which is a very popular program that helps food insecure people. It helps restaurants. It helps local farmers. It was funded through FEMA. It runs out in July, and we needed a 10% match to continue that program for another year. That would have been projected to be $1.8 million in conference. We put $1.3 million. So we'll see how long that lasts. It may not last for the full year, but we'll be back in January. We also put in additional money for the downtown and village tax credit program. It's now at $3 million. We put another $1.2 million in each year. in an attempt to cover neighborhood development areas, which heretofore have not been eligible for any downtown credits, but under this law become eligible, and maybe actually in a different law, and then we have extra money, and they can get up to $1 million a year of the $4.2 million. The sports betting study remains the same as passed the Senate before, and I'm going to yield to Senator from Franklin. He'll tell us about robocalls.
The Senator from Franklin is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I've spoken about robocalls before, and I think I've mentioned that once you have a robocall, it attracts a lot more. And you can see we had this little bill on robocalls. But we did manage to salvage the robocall bill in this, and it is as we've described and talked about it before. It did attract some things, though, I think that are very good in this bill. Things that we need to do to help Vermont recover from the pandemic, and also to help us chart a better path forward as far as economic development. And it's one, as a result, that our committee recommends that the body accept and move forward with. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator from Chittenden is recognized for any further report, or shall I?
That concludes the report. I echo the sentiments from the Senator from Franklin. We had a unanimous vote in the Committee of Conference, as you'll see, and I hope the Senate will concur.
The question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report of the Committee of Conference on S11? The Senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I need to say that I appreciate all the hard work that the conferees did and acknowledge the difficult decisions that they had to make. I've never voted against a conference committee report before, and I really hate to make one of my last votes in the Senate a negative vote, but I am going to have to vote against this conference committee report. And I'll tell you why. If my math is right, there's about $66 million in workforce development in here. My math may not be right, but that's what I added up. There's not one single dollar dedicated to the emergency medical system. But when I approached the committee about this, I was told that we didn't like to dedicate to specific occupations. And yet we've dedicated to the forest product industry, conduct research to make sure that 70% of Vermonters are credentialed, building homes by CTE students, nurses, and meat cutters. All are important, I don't deny that. But the EMS is a system that is under as much stress as all of these. They really stepped up during COVID. They went all around state. They had vaccine clinics. They had testing sites. They staffed hospitals who were having trouble finding personnel. And they're losing people at an alarming rate. They're having a hard time recruiting. Right now, recruits have to pay up to $1,500 to get certified so they can volunteer or be in a position that's underpaid. There are many, many issues around this system, but it's simply not sustainable. There is the section that allows them to compete for $3 million with 12 other occupations. If I divided this evenly, this means about $250,000 per occupation. EMS presented in great detail the urgent need for $950,000 in education and training. Letting them know that it's available and that they can compete for it is great, but it doesn't really help. They're going to have to compete with 12 other occupations, including transportation, robotics, energy, and doing a report to make them sustainable funding will not help them right now. This is a system in dire need, and I hate to do this, but I am going to vote against this report.
question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report of the Committee of Conference on S11? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. And you've accepted and adopted the report of the Committee of Conference on S11. Item is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I will ask the Senate Secretary whether pen is available. Okay. At this time, pending entry on the notice calendar for action, we could take, sorry, I'm getting tired. If we could take up S210 for consideration, Madam President. Thank you.
The senator from Windham has moved that the rules be suspended.
Thank you.
And S210, an act relating to rental housing, health and safety and affordable housing, be taken up for immediate consideration. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've suspended the rules and may now take up S210 for immediate consideration. With that, though, I will pause in case a brief moment is needed. I know a report was just given.
Madam President, if I could, by way of explanation, the plan is to do this bill, do a few housekeeping things, and then take a break for dinner. We're still waiting on a couple other bills.
I was going to offer the reporter of the bill a moment if he needed it, given that you just reported a bill. No. Okay. So.
Do you want a minute?
Yes.
Thank you.
There's now a report of the Committee of Conference on S210, an act relating to rental housing, health and safety, and affordable housing. The underlying question, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report of the Committee of Conference on S110? And the senator from Chittenden, Senator Sirotkin, is recognized for the report.
Thank you, Madam President. S210 had its genesis in a bill last year. It was called S79. It had three major components in it. The first component was that it had a registry of all rental property in the state of Vermont that was not already subject to inspections by professional departments in 7 of our larger communities. Because those places were already inspected and already the information on where they were and who owned them was already there. The second and most important part of the S79, which was vetoed, was to establish a professional inspection for health and safety of rental units. We have a very antiquated, dysfunctional system in the state of Vermont through our town health officers right now. If there are vermin or bed bugs or unsanitary conditions in a tenant's apartment, you have to call your town health officer, and the response is incredibly varied. The one quote that stuck with us in our testimony on this last year was the town health officer was usually the last man or woman standing at a select board meeting and saying, "You're it." And they have no real training, and these situations can get really not very pretty. And I'm not going to say it's like a domestic dispute. Sometimes you go into an apartment and landlord and tenant both may be there, and it could get nasty. And sometimes because a lot of small towns have a lot of family members that are connected, it's just not the way to do business. And 7 of our larger communities have seen established inspection departments. So we wanted to find a way, and we've been at this for 4 years, to find a way how to transition from a volunteer system to a professional system. When we sent a lot of the stakeholders out, and they worked over the summer after 2 bienniums, and they all came back with a unanimous report. We worked with the Department of Fire Safety, who already does inspections along these lines for electrical and plumbing and smoke detectors, and they were amenable to doing it, but they needed to hire probably 5 inspectors to do it, and we had no funding source. The money wasn't as plentiful back then, and the idea of a registry came up. That's the way these 7 towns generally fund their inspectors, and we came back with a proposal to do $35 per rental unit, and that was to pay for the inspectors. So the registry provides valuable information, but the main reason that we put the registry in was to find the funding for the inspections. The governor vetoed the bill. One of his major concerns was he didn't think it was appropriate to have a registry of all the apartments in the state, and that was one of his main concerns. The other third part of the bill was establishing a Vermont Health Improvement Program. It's the VHIP program, and there was $20 million put into that to do 2 things. One was to give incentives to landlords to renovate blighted or non-code compliant apartments. We did a housing tour and we saw a lot of these apartments, and it's a lot cheaper to renovate those than to build something from scratch in most cases. The second section of where the investment and incentives could go to was mother-in-law apartments, accessory dwelling units they're called. And out west in the Northwest, they're a very big thing. We actually have the first law in the country on this, but now they've really taken off there as a way to resolve their housing crisis. So you can turn, we're overhoused in a lot of Vermont where people, their kids, people become empty nesters, the kids go away and they have a 4-bedroom house, and now they, with a little bit of money, they can turn that house into a separate apartment or an accessory dwelling unit. And they're legal in every zone in the state of Vermont. You have to allow for an accessory dwelling unit. They're not big, but you have to allow for those kinds of constructions. So those were the 2 areas where we wanted to put incentives out there. And in exchange for those incentives, especially in the case of the landlords who were turning blighted property into units, they had to rent it either for 5 years to someone coming out of homelessness, or for 10 years to somebody who had vouchers and it was 50% of income. That wouldn't work for the accessory dwelling units. We felt that that would be a real chilling effect on somebody renting, being told exactly who they had to rent to. So in that context, we have now said that they are subject to HUD's fair market rent as the limit of what they can charge. So anyhow, that bill, the bill got vetoed, and we came back with S210 early this session, and we combined second year, the 20, it was only $5 million the previous year. The governor proposed $20 million this year. So we combined the $20 million in VHIP funding with the registry and the safety inspectors. As the session prolonged, the governor continued to insist that the registry was a problem. Times have changed. We have a fair amount of money, and working with the administration, we've discovered that we can fund those inspectors without using the registry dollars. So essentially, what this conference committee report does is it eliminates the registry, it funds the first year of inspectors $100,000 with ARPA money, and there have been statements, and you'll see them in the press, where the administration understands that they're going to, in future years, find a funding source for ongoing positions. And the only other change, I would say, from what we've discussed in the past, and essentially, other than dropping the registry, the House has gone along in the conference committee report with everything the Senate did, which was primarily around the accessory dwelling units, where we said 20% of the $20 million or $4 million has to go to accessory dwelling units. And of that $4 million, $800,000 has to go to sort of navigation expenses. People very well may want the help that this bill gives to build an accessory dwelling unit, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to permit. They don't know how to get other financing. They don't know how to rent. They're not landlords like the other group is. So we put a premium on making sure that there's enough support for Vermonters who may want to access this incentive to turn over accessory dwelling units. So again, 20% of the $20 million or $4 million goes to accessory dwelling units. Of that $4 million, 20% goes to administrative support. The rest goes to financial aid to the homeowner. And we hope through this program, we're going to develop a significant number of new units in the state of Vermont. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report of the Committee of Conference on S210? The senator from Essex Orleans is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. You're looking at a town health officer right here. I don't know if there's very many people that are as busy as I am. We're all busy in life and we're all busy, but I don't have to be the town health officer. In fact, I'm not even the town health officer for the town that I live in. I'm in the town health officer that I used to live in. And I kept that because I wanted to make sure that it was my hometown and that people who ran into problems in town would get a response should they run into problems. I think it's very disrespectful to characterize town health officers, or I think it really goes into, in a small town, the same thing could be said about assessors or listers or folks that are in zoning as well. And yeah, there is not a lot of money for a lot of those programs, and it is volunteer, but a lot of people really work really hard, such as myself, to make sure that when a complaint comes, we had a complaint this weekend. A homeowner was bit by their dog, and I handled the complaints and talked with the hospital and made sure that the people's rabies shots were up and that the dogs were licensed, they were new in town and all of that stuff. I think that this bill is creating a situation where at the end of the day, we're really trying to get a foothold to what S79 was. We're just really trying to get in there and register all these properties so that eventually we can control them. I just really think that this oversteps its bounds in communities. If a community really has a problem, they could spend their resources and they could better the system. If they weren't happy with their health officers, I know the 9 or 10 towns around me, I know all the health officers. We're on good relations. Along with the dog catcher as well. We know that person as well. So I think really, if it really is as much of a problem as it's being portrayed, that these communities would really work a little bit harder and they'd probably take care of their own a little bit. And I know some of the bigger towns, St. Johnsbury, around my area, St. Johnsbury, Lindenville, Newport, Derby. I know they do have bigger budgets and they do a better job. And I just really don't think that the state needs to be stepping in and taking over local control about a problem that really doesn't exist. And really, at the end of the day, I really feel it's just we're just kind of circling around just to make sure that we can get that registry going and then take over people's private property. But that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm totally, if you haven't guessed it by now, I'm against this bill, and I would encourage others to join me. Thank you.
Senator from Chittenden is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to certainly apologize. I did not mean any disrespect to town health officers. I think they're underfunded, and all the testimony we heard from, including local town health officers, made us believe that many communities, it was a difficult situation presented, and from town health officers themselves. So no disrespect intended. For plenty of town health officers try and do the best they can and some probably work it through, but we heard about a lot of towns where it wasn't working. They really wanted this to go through, and the League of Cities and Towns also supported this as well. Thank you.
Question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report of the Committee of Conference on S 210? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
No.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you've accepted and adopted the report of the Committee of Conference on S 210. The senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would like the rules to be suspended and for us to take up S 283 off the notice number.
The senator from Wyndham has moved that the rules be suspended and S 283, an act relating to miscellaneous changes in education laws, be taken up for immediate consideration. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've suspended the rules and will now take up S 283 for immediate consideration. We now have a committee report on S 283, an act relating to miscellaneous changes to education laws. Underlying question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report of the Committee of Conference on S 280? And the senator recognize Senator Chittenden for the report.
Thank you, Madam President. Since we only changed two sections of the report, only those two sections, trusting that my fellow senators will review the rest of the bill should they be so interested. So this, the sticking point, if I can use that term, had to do with the section 8 and then subsequently section, I want to say, 12, having to do with the date that we were requiring the PCB testing as well as the radon testing to occur. Your Senate Education Committee and the position of the Senate was that this is of a paramount health concern, that being a senator from the Chittenden County area, having many students currently in a high school, temporary high school, because of this concern, it's important that people have a right to know if there's a PCB health or radon concern in the schools that they're sending their kids to for long hours and stretches of the days through the school hours. So your Senate, our position as a Senate from the Senate Education was to have that testing be done by July 1st, 2024. The House had 2026. We through a conference committee, came to a middle ground solution, found that 2025 is still enough of a pressure of time to allow for, or to motivate the Agency of Education and all of its partners to get this done, to still show the urgency and need to address this. Additionally, as was already reported upon, coming to this body, for the Senate, this coming January 15th, 2023 will be a plan for the testing and rollout of implementation that will be a very thoughtful and a well-considered set of priorities and prioritizations. So the other section that was agreed to in the Committee of Conference was section 12, having to do with the radon testing, again, going from 2026 to 2025. The vote in the Committee of Conference was unanimous, and we would ask this body to concur.
Question is, shall the Senate accept and adopt the report of the Committee of Conference on S 280? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've accepted and adopted the report of the Committee of Conference on S 283. Senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I ask that the rules be suspended and that we take our actions on S11, an act relating to robocalls, S210, an act relating to rental housing, health and safety and affordable housing, and S283, an act relating to miscellaneous changes to education laws, to the governor forthwith.
The senator from Wyndham has moved the rules be suspended and the following bills be messaged to the governor forthwith. S11, S210, and S283. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you've suspended the rules and messaged S11, S210, and S230. Senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I ask that the rules be suspended and that we message our actions on H175 and acts relating to the beverage container redemption system to the House forthwith.
The senator from Wyndham has moved the rules be suspended and, sorry. Thank you. S175, an act relating to the beverage container redemption system, be messaged to the House forthwith. Are you ready for the question?
Roll call.
The senator from Franklin has requested a roll call vote. Are you ready for the question? Secretary, when ready, is kindly asked to call the roll.
Senator Ballin.
Yes.
Senator Baruch.
Yes.
Senator Benning.
No.
Senator Bray.
Yes.
Senator Brock.
No.
Senator Campion.
Yes.
Senator Chittenden.
Yes.
Senator Clarkson.
Yes.
Senator Collmore.
No.
Senator Cummings.
Yes.
Senator Hardy.
Yes.
Senator Hooker.
Yes.
Senator Ingalls.
No.
Senator Kitchell. Senator Lyons.
Yes.
Senator McDonald.
Yes.
Senator Mazza.
No.
Senator McCormack.
Yes.
Senator Nitka.
No.
Senator Parent.
No.
Senator Pearson.
Yes.
Senator Perschlick.
Yes.
Senator Polina.
Yes.
Senator Rom Hinsdale.
Yes.
Senator Sears.
Yes.
Senator Sarafkin.
Yes.
Senator Starr.
No.
Senator Terenzini.
No.
Senator Westman.
Yes.
Senator White.
Yes.
Senator Kitchell.
Please listen to the results of your vote. The yeas 20, the nays 9, and you've suspended the rules.
Numbers. She did be 23.
Thank you, just. Please listen to the results of your vote. The yeas 20, the nays 9, and you have not suspended the rules, and the motion has failed. The senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Pending announcements, I move that the Senate stand in adjournment until tomorrow at 9 a.m. By way of announcements, have been conferring with the minority leader and the dean of the Senate, and the request was to get at it earlier tomorrow and not be back this evening. Thank you, Madam President.
The senator from Wyndham has moved that subject to any announcements, the Senate do adjourn until 9 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, May 12th. Are there any announcements? The senator from Chittenden is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Senate Economic Development will meet at 8:15 tomorrow morning.
Are there any additional announcements?
Madam President, may I request just a brief recess for the Senate President?
Sure. The Senate will stand in recess until the fall of the gavel. The Senate will please come to order. We're moving from a brief recess, and the senator from Wyndham is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to be certain, Madam President, we would like to message our actions on H727, which was the conference committee on the miscellaneous ed bill, to the House forthwith.
The senator from Wyndham has moved the rules be suspended and H727 be messaged to the House forthwith. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Hey.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you suspended the rules and messaged H727 to the House forthwith. Are there any additional announcements or motions? The senator from Wyndham has moved that the Senate stand in adjournment until Thursday, May 12th at 9 a.m. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the Senate stands adjourned until Thursday, May 12th at 9 a.m.